I had a good time in Austin. That doesn't mean I did a lot of crazy things. It was just a good time. The people were super nice, and I just had an overall good time. So, going to highlight Austin a little bit here and talk about the top 6 things I think if you're visiting Austin, you should do.
What's up? Welcome to the You Knows Best Pod. I appreciate your support. In return, I hope I provide you with some worthwhile gems that benefit you on your journey. At the very least, I hope I put a smile on your face. If not, hopefully you share this with someone that does benefit, and I got you next time. Again, thanks for joining today, and let's get this thing going.
What's up? Welcome to another episode of the Hube Knows Best Pod, where I'm going to give you the truth, the whole truth, well, as best as I can, so help me God. I'm excited. You know I'm in a good mood. If you watched football this Saturday, you know why I'm in a good mood. My Dawgs pulled out a win in Texas, in Austin. I'm just going to be in a good mood until we lose. So, but we'll get into that. I'll talk about the game, all those things here shortly. But I wanted to shout out Austin, shout out the people in Austin, shout out the UT fans. I had a good time in Austin. That doesn't mean I did a lot of crazy things. I wasn't, I'm 37, about to be 38 in a week, but it was just a good time. I had great hospitality at my Airbnb. The people were super nice. And I just had an overall good time. So going to highlight Austin a little bit here and talk about the top 6 things I think if you're visiting Austin, you should do. So if you know about Austin, where it's located in Texas, it's on the Colorado River. As someone that grew up on the river, the Chattahoochee in Columbus, there are a lot of things that come with growing up on the river or just having a city that has a major river running through it, from sightseeing, from, water experiences, things of that nature. So I think the top 6 things you could do as far as Austin is explore the river, go on a boat ride, even just get out in nature in general and explore the city and see all the sights, the historical things. But yeah, hit the river walk, do a little boat ride, a little adventure on the water. From what I heard from people in the city, great experience. So that would be number 6. Number 5, I'm a Soho member. Funny enough, I took my friends that were in town with me. Shout out to Blake and his boys, James and Josh. We went to Soho House. They had Paul Wall performing, which was an experience in itself because, one, I've never seen Paul Wall perform. And when I went in Soho House in Austin during a big college football weekend and F1 racing, the last thing I thought I was going to hear that night was rap music. And so, yeah, it was a great experience. But just in general, the Soho House in Austin is beautiful. It's located on Congress. And there are tons of restaurants and things to do around that Soho House. But if you know somebody that's a Soho member that lives in Austin, I would say check out Soho House, just because you never know what's going to be going on. Not only do they have good food, not only do they have guest appearances, it's just a cool little vibe. If you get in there and chill out, if you're so lucky to be able to, I don't want to say it like that because you can know somebody and go in there, but it's a membership club. But the reason I am a Soho member is simply that no matter what city I go in, if there's a Soho, I know what vibe I'm going to get in general. I know I'm gonna have a good time. I know I'm gonna be able to chill and not have to worry about anything. And so, if you're in Austin, check out the Austin Soho House. Number 4, I would say hang out on the bar scene. Now, if you talk to me, if you know me, if you've heard me talk about drinking, I'm not a big drinker. But when in Rome, what do? Do as the Romans do. Austin has a bustling, a busy bar scene, especially on 6th and on Congress. If you are interested in hanging out, going to bars and doing things like that, you will have plenty of options, especially on the weekend. I hung out with my boy Herbert. Yes, I have a friend named Herbert, and his girlfriend on Sunday. We were on 6th, and we went to, I don't even remember the name of the bar, but it was a Chiefs bar. No, it was a Niners bar because the Chiefs bar was down the street. But yeah, it was a good time. There are a lot of bars that are, dedicated to different teams and just in general, because Austin has kind of become somewhat of a transient city, with a lot of transplants. And so there are a lot of bars for different football teams, college and pro. And it was just a good time. But also, just at night, Austin comes alive. They apparently block off one of the streets, so you can only walk. So yeah, I would say if you are into the bar scene, you want to just have a good time, go out, drink, hang out with your friends. If you're in Austin, definitely check out the bar scene. All right, number 3. Number 3 is check out the Domain. So Domain's north in North Austin. It is a residential slash shopping area. So plenty of bars, plenty of restaurants, plenty of good shopping that you can do out at the Domain. They have a farmer's market on Sundays. But yeah, it was just, I had a good time. I hung out at 77 degrees, smoked some hookah. I went to Dogwood, watched some of the games on Sunday, and just walked around. There is a lot of shopping to do, high end shopping too. You have your regular shopping like Macy's and Nordstrom and Levi's and Vans and stuff like that, but they got some high end stores up there. So check out the Domain if you ever go to Austin. I'm sure it won't disappoint, especially if you're a lady and you like to go shop. All right, number 2 is Texas. Why would you not eat barbecue and you're in Texas? I even brought barbecue back with me. So now, with eating barbecue, there just comes things with eating barbecue. Like barbecue food is not necessarily always good for you, but it tastes good. So I actually ate barbecue on Friday night, and I ate barbecue Sunday, and I ate barbecue yesterday because I brought some barbecue back with me. So yeah, if you're going to Austin and you want to eat barbecue, you won't go wrong. Of course, you're in Texas, so you want to eat the brisket. I still like pork ribs, so I had some pork ribs. I had some beef ribs. But yeah, I would say if you're in Austin, enjoy it, you know. Do the things that Austin people do. Do the things that Texas people do. I ate a lot of places. I tried out this black-owned restaurant called Austin's Very Own Salt. I tried Trap House, Caribbean. But yeah, you can't go wrong eating barbecue in a place that specializes in barbecue. I just don't know how you would have a bad experience eating barbecue. I love to eat. So yeah, like I said, I wasn't crazy about the sides, but I'm also very picky about sides. So, take that with a grain of salt. But if you want to know places that you can try for barbecue, Terry Black's, it's just right south of the river, great barbecue. And then I think there's a place called Tim's Barbecue that was on Congress. But yeah, Terry Black's gonna be busy. We went by there Friday, ended up going to another place because they had a line longer than getting into the concert. It looked like it was a club standing outside of Terry Black's. But yeah, I went before I got on the airplane. Brought me some good barbecue home. But yeah, so that's number 2. Make sure when you're in Austin, eat some barbecue. All right, number 1, go to a game in their Darrell K. Royal Stadium. All right, so I don't know if it was just because they were playing Georgia. It was a night game, big SEC game. I don't know what was going on. But I've been to a lot of college football games. Of course, I've been to a lot of games at Sanford Stadium, been to SEC championship games, been to college football playoff games. And I've been to the world's largest outdoor cocktail party, Georgia versus Florida. I've been to a Pac-12 championship game. But I would say this is probably the best experience just from a school stadium experience that I've ever had on a game day. Now, caveat, UT, y'all got to figure out y'all parking situation and how y'all get people out of there. Because, again, yes, your stadium is basically downtown Austin. So that can cause a cluster. But yeah, I won't let that detract from my game day experience. That was just a parking experience. From a game day experience, when I got to the stadium, so where I parked at was literally like a 3-minute walk from the stadium. But they had tons of vendors outside the stadium. They had a free musical performance outside on the lawn. Now, this is good or bad, but I would assume most people come to a college football game are not on this. Security is minimal as far as coming in and being checked. So that makes it an easier process to just walk in the stadium and go enjoy the game. But you're also in Texas, so I don't think you should come, like, if you're thinking about going to a Texas football game and doing something stupid, remember you're in Texas. So if you came in there with your stuff, other people probably in there with their stuff too. You get what I'm talking about. But yeah, like that experience was great. the fact that they have the ability for you to buy or rent seat cushions. They have a grab and go method as far as vendors, so that cuts down on lines. Like you just grab your stuff, walk to the cashier, and basically you sit on this little monitor that gauges how much food you have and puts it on the screen. You could just pay for it. So like from that experience alone, there were not long lines for bathrooms, at least where I was at. It was just a great game day experience. Now, let's get into the actual game. They put on a show. They had drones up there highlight, like throwing up the Hook'em sign, Texas sign, the SEC sign. They had a flyover. Great music, great videography before the game. Something that I think Kirby took a jab at. Bunch of celebs. They had Kevin Durant, Matthew McConaughey, some other actor, I can't remember his name right now. A bunch of UT like former players. If you follow rap, Corday was out there. For y'all don't know who Corday is, that was Naomi Osaka's child's father. Yeah, like audio in this stadium was great. It was just a great experience. Like I don't think I've had a better game day experience at a college football game ever. So kudos to UT. If you ever get a chance to go to Austin during football season, definitely go to a game. Hopefully you're in town when there's a big game going on, because I don't think they'll disappoint you. Like if I had to send somebody to say, hey, for your first college football game, big college football game, if I had to choose a stadium, or like now that Texas is in the SEC, I'd say go to Texas. So shout out to Texas. Let's get into it. So if you know, Dawgs won 30-15. This is probably the most dominant Georgia's been in a game for more than 2 quarters all season. Now, what I will say is the offense left a lot to be desired. But, shout out to UT. As a former college football player, those other guys are on scholarship too. Those other guys on the other side coaching are paid millions of dollars too. While I could sit here and say that the offense was terrible, if I just take a step back, I have to give credit to Texas's players as well. Makuba, number 4, made a hell of a pick on Carson Beck on our first drive. Number 7, Jahdae Barron, played lights out. 2 picks. I want to say he had 2 picks in that game. So the secondary held up very well against our passing. Anthony Hill, young guy, really good. Alfred Collins, number 95, he was dominating. After the first few series, we couldn't run the ball anywhere near him. So, again, shout out to those players. Shout out to the team. The defense did not fold. This game was won by Georgia's defense. Yes, you have to score points to win games, but at the end of the day, defense set up our offense. I think the average field position for a score was the Texas 32. So that lets you know a lot. So what are the top 6 moments in this game for me? I would say the number 6 moment would be Trevor Etienne's touchdown on the second touchdown of the game. So it took Georgia 17-0. That's when I kind of knew this game was over. If you watch Georgia play over the last 4 or 5 years, even have any knowledge of Georgia football, there is usually a lot of angst with Georgia with regards to blowing leads or letting teams come back. Famously, 2017 National Championship game, or 2018, this 2017 season, Georgia let Alabama come back and win in overtime 26 to 23. We were up 2 scores in that game, if not more. 2018, same deal. SEC championship game. Tua went down. Jalen Hurts came in. We was up 2 scores. Lost the game. So, and this is just carryover from the Rick era. But typically, in the last 3-4 years, if Georgia gets up on you more than 2 scores, they get up 3 scores or more, you're not winning that game. You're not coming back in that game. You might score. you might make it close, but you won't win that game. Yeah, when we went up 17-0, that was kind of a tell for me. This game over with. No matter what Texas did at that point, they weren't going to come back. Now, they did try. They did try. The refs tried. The refs tried. Number 5. I would say number 5 was that pick by Makuba. It was a hell of a play from an athletic standpoint, from a just disguising scheme standpoint. I don't know why we were throwing the ball to Urasek at that point in the middle of the field. I don't know why that wasn't to one of our receivers or to Lucky. But regardless, hell of a play by Makuba. Luckily, Texas couldn't capitalize. But it was just a hell of a play. If they were able to capitalize, I don't know that Georgia would have been able to win that game. But defense came to play. Moment number 4 for me would be the first turnover that Georgia caused. Dalen Everett, hell of a blitz, hell of a hit on yours. I think that hit on yours actually shook him up a little bit because he just didn't seem the same after that. It led Georgia up for their first score of the game. So, you say, well, Hubert, you said the score by Etienne, his second score was moment number 6. Why wouldn't that be number 4? Well, this one set the tone for the game that, yeah, we coming to hit y'all and it's going to be hell on wheels on defense. We're not giving you anything. And so that blitz, timely, and I feel like that was Dalen Everett announcing his arrival. Like, just as a Georgia fan, I'm on message boards. Dalen Everett, right, wrong, or indifferent, gets a lot of flack. It is hard to be in his position just because of who's come before him. He's had multiple first-round picks, multiple second-round picks at corner, play at Georgia. And just guys that have a lot of cachet over the last 5-6 years. You got DeAndre Baker, who was a first-round pick, Kirby's first-round corner drafted at Georgia. You got Eric Stokes, who plays for Green Bay Packers. You got Tyson Campbell, who just got a big contract from the Jags, who's our first 5-star cornerback signed. You got Keely Ringo. We know what Keely did. He ran that pick back on Bryson in the national championship game. And then you got Kamari Lassiter, who's probably the most underrated of those 5 guys. He was the lowest ranked guy, except for DeAndre. DeAndre was like a 3-star. But Kamari, of the Kirby guys that he's recruited, as far as cornersmen, he was the lowest ranked guy. But he's a hitter. He makes plays. He didn't allow a lot of receptions. And Dalen, for whatever reason, the last year or two, or last year and a half, he'll be in position, doesn't make a play on the ball. But that was his first time creating a turnover. And just a little bit of background. Dalen in high school was somebody that had a lot of picks. Like, he was a guy that played the ball in the air. So it's kind of interesting to see him get in college and not do the same. But he announced his arrival with that sack fumble, and he recovered his own fumble because his teammates couldn't scoop a score. Kirby, maybe y'all need to do a scoop a score drill. It's hard to nitpick, but that was crazy that nobody could pick up the ball and then just fall on the ball because Texas almost got the ball back. But yeah, so that was number 4, the Dalen Everett sack, forced fumble, and recovery. Number 3, this is shout out to Chaz Chambliss. I am not the biggest Chaz Chambliss fan. We don't have to get into it, but Chaz did his job. He did his job all game. He showed up, and for the most part, he does his job. There's always a few moments in the game where you're like, why is he out there? Because and it's not because he's not a good football player. It's just what you expect from a Georgia defender. He just has physical limitations. But he caused Quinn Ewers to throw an incompletion on 4th down when they're trying to make it a 1-score game in the 4th quarter. Hell of a pass rush move to get to the quarterback and force that 4th down incompletion, which basically ended the game. Defense was hell. 7 sacks, 10 tackles for loss, 3 forced fumbles, and an interception. So defense was hell on Saturday. But you say, well, Hubert, if that was the end of the game, what were your top 2 moments? Number 2, forcing a quarterback change. If you know anything about Texas, you know that Peyton Manning, Eli Manning, their nephew, is the backup quarterback at Texas behind Quinn Ewers. Now, mind you, Quinn Ewers, number one quarterback in the nation coming out of high school. Arch, who's Cooper's, the Peyton and Eli's older brother, he was the number one recruit in the nation at his position. So you have an interesting dichotomy there where you have a redshirt freshman backing up a redshirt junior. Steve Sarkisian, head coach of Texas, says that he wanted to take Quinn out to settle him down, get him out the fire so he can, put him back in once he settled down. Look, I played football and I've been around coaches. Sark didn't take him out because he planned to put him back in. He wanted to put Arch in because he was like, well, you are sucking. You are stinking it up. You have thrown a pick. You have fumbled the ball. We need to change. We need somebody that can run, get away from these guys that are running up our ass, and somebody that can see the field. And so Sark puts Arch in. He does nothing. He does the same shit that Ewers is doing. He fumbled the ball, set up Georgia for their last field goal of the half. Shout out to Damon Wilson. He arrived this game, true sophomore, and recovered by Jalen Walker. Jalen Walker's having a hell of a season. He's a tweener for our team. Plays middle linebacker, rushes on pass rush situations. I've seen a lot of people saying he's a top 5 pick. As a Georgia fan, I want y'all to pump your brakes. I think Jalen's going to be a hell of a football player. Someone like a Hassan Reddick or something like that. But if any GM takes him with a top 5 pick, fire that man. That's just like the football guy in me. I think he's a hell of a college football player. I think he's a hell of a pass rusher. But he is not a top 5 pick. He's not Michael Parsons. But for our defense, he liked that. So kudos to him. But yeah, Arch getting in the game because Quinn Ewers was benched. That was moment number 2. Moment number 1. Everybody's talked about it ad nauseum. You cannot, and I mean you cannot, announce a penalty, spot the ball, and then change the penalty. That's not how it works. It's not how it's ever worked. Was it the right call? That's neither here nor there to me, because I think it could have went one of 3 ways. It could have been a no call. It could have been a pass interference. It could have been an offensive pass interference. Less of the pass interference to me, but in reality, you call pass interference, defensive pass interference. You announce it was defensive pass interference, and then you spotted the ball. But then what happens? UT fans, student section, starts throwing bottles and things on the field because they're unhappy. And that causes delay. Now, as somebody that's in the stadium, I'm surrounded. Like, UT fans are pretty reasonable, except for the fat guy that was behind me, who was talking shit, and the old 63-year-old guy that was there with his daughter, who thought he was a tough guy, who had to be calmed down by his friend before he got kicked in the face. Because, hey, when you're in a stadium and you're talking shit to somebody, you probably shouldn't talk shit to somebody that's standing above you, because you can get punched in the face, kicked in the face. I wasn't going to do that because I'm not going to get arrested. But if he'd have escalated with me enough, 63 years old or not, if you think you're tough enough to fight me, we going to see. But for the most part, UT fans are very pleasant, very, very gracious. So it's surprising, not really, to see that. Like, the actual, adults in the room were appalled, but student section is on student section. But that causes a delay, which then causes the refs to gather together. There's no way in hell they didn't look at the replay on the screen and be like, well, we made a bad call there. That was the biggest moment for me because it shifted the momentum of the game. Texas had already came out and scored on their first drive, which made it 23-8, but that makes the game closer. That makes the game more in doubt. Now, luckily enough, we go down and score. So that could have been a top 6 moment. We go down and answer back and score and make it a 30-15 game. Hell of a drive, hell of a play call by Bobo on the double reverse pass to Oscar Depp. Hell of a third down pass pinned on your own 11 by Carson Beck to Arian Smith. But yeah, I don't even know. The number one thing was the refs. The moments that the refs just blew. So blowing that reversing that call, the targeting calls, targeting does not need to be a disqualification. It could be a penalty, but disqualifying people over targeting when a lot of it is people shifting their bodies at the last moment to brace for a hit. Like, football is a game of inches, and it's inches that determine whether or not you're going to hit somebody with your helmet or just your shoulder. So the refs played a huge part in UT getting back into that game and even making it somewhat questionable that they would come back, because they were just throwing flags and kicking people out of the game and reversing things that don't need to be reversed. But again, Georgia won 30-15, 4 turnovers forced, 7 sacks, 10 TFLs. And not for nothing, Trevor Etienne did his part. We got him over from Florida, 3 touchdowns. If you don't know who Trevor Etienne is, his brother is Etienne, Travis Etienne, that plays for the Jags. Played at Florida for 2 years before he came to Georgia. So shout out to Peyton Woodring, 3 field goals. Shout out to Brett Thorson, booming that bitch on the punts. Just a hell of a team win. The offense did what they needed to do with short fields. Defense caused the short fields, and special teams held up their end of the bargain, except for that squib kick that was a mishit or whatever. But overall, great game by Georgia, dominating win. I predicted on the last episode that Texas would beat Georgia at a neutral site game for the SEC championship game. I don't know that to be true anymore, but hey, I made the prediction, so we'll see. But yeah, great game, great win for Georgia. Yeah, so going into my birthday next week, or when this airs, probably this week. But yeah, great win, great time in Austin. Shout out to the Dawgs. Shout out to Texas for having a great game day experience, and shout out to their players for at least trying to show up and win in their first big SEC game. Good luck to them versus Vandy and the rest of the season. We'll see y'all in Atlanta. We're gonna do our part. But yeah, make sure you like, share, subscribe here. Check me out on Instagram, Hube Knows Best. Make sure you check out my shorts. Check out my TikTok, Hube Knows Best on all platforms. Yeah, and I'll catch y'all next time. Peace out.